Hi, my name's Dr. Jeff Foster. I'm a GP with a specialist interest in men's health, and I've been very, very honoured today to be joined by the charismatic TV celebrity that is Stephen Webb, famous from Gogglebox. I think the plan of what we'd like to do is run through a bit of why you're having this conversation with me, really. So just for a bit of background for anyone who doesn't know, obviously I specialise in testosterone treatment and testosterone replacement for men. Now, obviously, you've been a patient with me for some time, but due to other restrictions in terms of contracts and things, we couldn't have the discussion until now. What I was going to suggest, if that's okay, just to go back right to the beginning part. So what life was like prior to us having this conversation, and maybe even before that.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think the first sort of like alarm call, and it didn't really register for a couple of months, was the napping. So on my days off, I would nap in the afternoon, just had no energy. And if I'd been working, I'll come straight home from work and go straight to bed for an hour while Daniel cooked the dinner, and then I'd get up when he was dishing up. So that was the first thing I noticed. And then lockdown happened. Now, bearing in mind, before I started doing the napping, I was going out exercising a lot. I was doing 4 runs a week, 2 5-milers, 1 2-miler as fast as I could, and then most Sundays doing almost half a marathon every Sunday. So I considered myself quite fit. And then this whole napping thing begun, and then lockdown happened, and I don't know, then I started noticing things about, like today, for example, I went to, just before I chatted to you, I went to a podiatrist appointment. So back then, talking about 2 years ago, if I had an appointment, I started worrying about it, like worrying about the drive, worrying about if I'd get there on time, if there was parking, and just things like that, like feeling really anxious. And that just got stronger and stronger and stronger throughout those 2 years until I had a chat with you. Even to the point of like cancelling friends that I've known for like 20 years, not picking up the phone. And I just knew something was wrong. Something wasn't right. And so I had an appointment at the doctor's, and that was, and I'm not slagging off any GPs because they're under pressure, you know, everything like that. But I didn't really get any joy there, just was told it's part of growing old and da-da-da. So then I was in a position, luckily enough, to go for a private consultation with the doctor. It's a very reputable company. And that really didn't yield anything either. It's just sort of like a tickle of the balls and finger up the bum, and everything was all right, but not addressing the testosterone thing. Just never come up. It was never mentioned. So they suggested counselling. Maybe you're depressed. So I thought, okay, I'll give that a shot. And I did about 6 sessions of counselling. And even at my first session, I was sitting there thinking, I'm not depressed. I know I'm not depressed. I've never suffered with depression. So it just didn't fit. And then, a shameless plug, I stumbled across this.
It's funny that I've heard it. It's supposed to be very good.
Very, very good book. Now, I read this from cover to cover, and the one bit that really stood out, the chapter, was on testosterone. And I just went, check. Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that. I feel like that. I feel like that. And that's what prompted me to give you a call. This is Jeff's book, by the way. You should go and get
it. That's good. Thanks. I mean, I think we should probably just call it a day there, really.
Yeah.
It's not going to get any better. No, it's great. No, thanks. I think before the testosterone bit, before you read the book, did you ever think to yourself, this could be a hormone thing?
No, I just never heard of it. I'd heard of testosterone, sure, but I just had negative connotations about it. It's like what muscle builders use in the gym, and they're all like, you know. So I see that as a bad thing. I didn't think that was the answer at all.
Yeah.
So
did you speak to Daniel about it at all, about how you felt?
Yeah, I did. And I'd say to him, something's not right. I know that I'm not myself. I'm like the cheeky chappy, barrow boy, kind of always bowling around doing something. And I went from that to not wanting to leave the house. And I don't know, he was just he didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
Because on top of that as well, the anger thing starts where I would just lose my rag at the slightest thing. Like if someone cut me up in the car, I won't repeat the language. I would just get so angry, and that is not me. So I knew something wasn't right.
Okay. And then, so I suppose there was the mental side, which was a major driver for you, wasn't it? Um,
Yeah,
physically, you felt you changed?
yeah. I mean, I've never been apart from the running. I sporadically would go to the gym, but with no real results. Um, and I've never really had like an athletic body. I've always had a bit of a belly, but what it accelerated in them 2 years was my belly, my fat, boobs, and just this feeling of kind of going like that, just aging. I felt I was aging rapidly, more so than any other time in my life. Yeah, from
And there was
like
no
50.
trigger for this, was there? It wasn't like an event that made you suddenly start to go out quickly. It was just kind of a gradual decline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was so gradual that you didn't know. I didn't notice it until I felt I was at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think this is the kind of the story that we hear time and time again. This is guys that feel something's not right, but they kind of get the idea that this is a cultural and societal normal. You know, you're a guy in your 40s, you should be more tired. You should have a different body than when you were 20. You should be more grumpy. And all this sort of stuff is, well, because it's normal because of your lifestyle, because you're more busy, because you're in your 40s. So it all gets kind of shoved under the carpet. And yeah,
absolutely.
so
When I would talk to people, people would say, "Oh, that's just part of aging." We all end up victim elderly. We're all grumpy. We all end up that way. And I was thinking, no, I don't want to.
I think the problem is that for some guys, that is the case, and they are just grumpy and middle aged and they haven't
Yeah,
looked after themselves. But with a quarter of all blokes having a hormonal cause for this, it seems bizarre that we kind of trivialize it as something that's just, forget about it. It's just normal. Just don't worry. It's really frustrating. I think the comparison between testosterone and menopause is quite stark. A lot of the stuff you're describing is very similar to female menopause, in the sense that many women feel that same sort of pattern, and yet there's nowhere for guys to go in the same way.
no, exactly. And because I'm a hairdresser, so I see a lot of women of my age that are going through the menopause, and I feel like what they go through is probably a little bit worse than what we go through. I don't
Yeah,
know. Um, and I'd mention it to my female clients, and they'd be like, "Oh, don't try and muscle in on the menopause." That's. But obviously, it is a real thing. It's a menopause, so
yeah,
yeah. So I just from every direction, I was getting negative vibes about this could be the male version of the menopause.
yeah. I think it's that. So the classic triad of ways we look at it would be mental health decline, physical health, and drop in libido or sexual function. And I take it you kind of had all three, I guess, really.
I did, and I think this is one reason why men don't want to talk about it, because I think the first thing they think people will think is floppy willy. And like even I want to kind of jump in and go, "Oh, I actually didn't suffer with floppy willy, but I did, but not to complete flop."
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it's that masculine thing where you don't want to admit that might be, but it's so much more than that. For me, it was more the drive, the desire to want to have sex
yeah, yeah, yeah.
than
I
than the
think that's the
equipment.
differentiation, isn't it? A lot of guys will say, well, the quality of the erection is not quite as bad as it was, but you can kind of live with that. It's the fact that there's just no interest. Sex, give or take, I don't care, doesn't matter. And that's
Yeah,
real change. And that's not normal. I'm 45. I don't want to be completely uninterested in sex for the rest of my, I'm only halfway through. I want to live till I'm 90, 100.
Yeah, me too.
My wife might not say the same thing about this, but I'd like to keep having sex as long as I'm alive. So
Yeah, for me,
yeah,
it's like when you're 20s and 30s, you're walking down the street and you see someone you think's quite cute, and you kind of look over your shoulder, and that kind of all stopped. And I thought it was because I'd got old and no one was actually looking at me. It wasn't. It was me just like, I don't know, just crumpling up like a crisp packet on a fire and being all like,
yeah.
I don't know, just yeah, just not having the desire or the thoughts of anything like that.
How did you find? I mean, obviously, we won't get into the details of your specific consultation, but how did the concept, once we started to look into the idea that it could be testosterone, make you feel about things?
So initially, I was probably a little bit nervous about starting testosterone because all you hear is bad stuff about testosterone, that it causes this, that, and the other. So I was a bit, I don't know. And I just want to say, like anyone that's listening, it's not like I'm pumping loads of this stuff into myself and I'm down the gym, like giving it all that. It's a very controlled, you can verify this, very controlled, small measure. You know, it's only enough to get me back up to where my levels should be. So yeah, I was a bit put off at first. I thought, well, I don't know if I want to start. I just didn't think I was ready for any kind of medication. I didn't want to be in that age bracket. But yeah,
I think you're right. There is a misconception that anyone that starts testosterone is going to be that guy in the gym who's full of rage with rain sticking out his head and is going to have a stroke and they're full of aggression, that sort of thing. And that does stop people sometimes accessing therapy. But the way you phrased it is right. We're just putting you back to what you should be. We're not trying to make you Superman. We're just getting you where you should be for who you are. And I mean, certainly the evidence is that testosterone levels, we know they will drop with age, but you don't have to treat the age-based number. We can get you to a number that's a healthy average, irrelevant to your age. It just keeps it at a good, healthy number. And that actually improves most health demographics. So why wouldn't we try and do that? But I think you're right, that stigma around what does it mean, and testosterone has a big sort of connotation when you say it to people, puts a lot of people off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Until I had a full understanding, after I talked to you and had a full understanding of what it was and how much I was going to do and stuff like that, then that kind of put me at ease. And I guess once I started taking the testosterone, I was still a little bit, I was so nervous doing the injection for a start. I was like that. I think I'd mucked up the first 3. And I suppose a few weeks into it, it kind of leveled out. And then I felt just back. Oh, I actually feel like I did when I was 30 now.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the next. I mean, I should point out, obviously, not all patients use injections, and there's lots of different types of treatments and gels and creams, and you can kind of work out the one for each one that suits you, really, I guess. But obviously, the injection has been the best for you at this stage. What changes do you think you might have noticed over the last couple of months then, or longer since we started?
Just everything's changed. Everything. My attitude to life, my energy levels, just my positivity. Glass half full rather than half empty. Everything. I can't stress like how different I feel. Like, just I'm back exercising. I've got a few challenges coming up, and I've always been like that. I've always wanted to do a challenge, whether it be trekking in the Himalaya and that all went. I didn't want to do anything, and now that's back. I've signed up to London Marathon next year, and yeah.
And I guess obviously from your social media side of things, we can see that obviously there's been quite a body transformation process. And part of that is obviously it's not going to just be testosterone, but I think sometimes it gives you that positivity to get to the gym and do things and make those changes that you'd want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the testosterone does help. It gives you the motivation to get up and go to the gym. You want to go. I'm only going twice a week. I'm not going every day. I've not really changed my diet. My portion sizes have come down a bit, I guess, but I still eat a little bit of chocolate. I still have the odd drink. Nothing really changed like that. Like people ask on my social media, what diet are you on and what have you cut out? And I've literally on no diet and I've cut nothing out. So I'm probably still carrying a little bit too much fat than I should be, but I'm cool with that. It's not about that for me. And yeah, and it's not like I'm going to the gym just because I'm on testosterone and now I'm going to have this amazing body. It's my mission is at 75, I want to still be able to bend over, touch my toes, and open a jar of jam.
Oh God. I'm hoping we can aim for more. Really?
Well, you know, but I just want to stay flexible and strong.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, no, it's a really good goal. And then from the obviously, so physical side's improved, libido returned okay.
yeah, that's all good.
Great.
Yeah.
And your physical side, so mental health side as well, also back on, confidence is
Yeah.
back, socializing more.
Yeah, definitely. And not, you know, going out socializing used to be about going out and getting drunk, and you get your courage through socializing through being drunk, basically. And now I rarely drink. And if I do, I've got a 3-drink rule. So I'll have a drink at 8, 9, 10, and then home. Yeah.
I thought it was meant you have to buy a drink for 3 other people, but that makes sense. Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So yeah, everything's better. Everything's improved. And I couldn't even imagine that we could have had this conversation when we first started.
Yeah.
In fact, I used to talk to you at first. I didn't really say that much and was not that chatty.
Yeah, definitely right. And I would say initially when we first spoke, I thought it's really weird. Oh, the guy on the TV doesn't quite match the character you speak to. And yet now I'd say it's the complete mirror image, if not you're more bouncy, which is lovely, really. So
well, even on the show, like I've been known to being quite outspoken and quite loud. And when I was going through this whole thing with testosterone, I would be sitting there thinking, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'd be panicking, thinking that maybe I wasn't being funny enough, or yeah, it was silly, anxiety. And then as soon as I started this and we carried on filming, then I just went back to my normal self.
Wow.
So
that's great. It's really good. It's hard, isn't it? Because I think you're right. There's still quite a large, well, there's the unconscious incompetence that doctors don't know about it, patients don't, or people don't know about it. And how do you know about something you don't know about? It's impossible. So that's really hard to get people aware of it. But I think also, even for guys that are aware, the social stigma around testosterone and just also wanting to look after yourself in your 40s is still quite hard.
It's stigma. It's that people don't want to talk about it, men in general, I don't think. And since I'm a complete open book, I left my small hometown in Kent and moved to London. And as soon as I knew that I was gay, 6 months later, I was skipping through the local high street going, hey, I'm gay now. And it's a bit like this testosterone. I am telling anyone that will listen. And since I have, I've been chatting to a 27-year-old. He's going through it. His testosterone level is on the floor at 27. Another guy I was talking to him about it. He went and had his checked. It was really low. And because he went and had that checked, there was something else that flagged up, a real major health concern that has now kind of sorted itself out due to getting checked. Yeah. So I've helped 2 people. Then I feel, I'm buzzing from it.
Great. I mean, for us, I think,
I've got plenty to say about it because I've been through it, and I'm educated on it.
As I said to you before, you're like the poster boy for us as a testosterone patient, because you've done that amazing journey of the just feeling terrible and being able to get through to that end point where your quality of life is so good. So it's been really great. So what's the next step for you now?
The next step for me in regards to testosterone,
life, whatever you want to talk about, really.
Well, I've stopped Gogglebox now, so I'm going to kind of look for new challenges that are out there. We've got a few things in the pipeline. I can't say too much now, but yeah, they're definitely a challenge, and yeah, I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of time and effort to it. But I just want to get my teeth into it now, and I've kind of got two things going to be running simultaneously at the same time,
Cool.
and yeah, I just want to get at it.
Well, I suppose if you do decide you're going to do like Mr. Olympia UK or something, I can go. That was my guy up there. Let's go. So that was really good. So no, it's brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on board with me. It's been really helpful, and hopefully you'll help a lot more than two guys, because we'll be able to sort of spread the word, and this will make people more aware.
I really hope so. I really hope that this does trigger some people into thinking, yeah, I'm going to get mine checked. I've had a couple of messages on Instagram saying, I'm really looking forward to this video you're putting out of Dr. Jeff. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully I'd be buzzing if it did.
Yeah. Great. No, thanks so much.